The fluorescent lights in St. Agnes Hospital burned too bright, making everything look washed out and cold. Brianna Hayes sat in a green plastic chair beside her daughter's bed, watching the small chest rise and fall with effort. Each breath Amara took sounded wet and labored, like someone trying to breathe through water. The little girl's brown skin had taken on a grayish tone that made Brianna's stomach twist. Her baby was dying. The doctors had said it clearly that morning. Without surgery, Amara had maybe 3 months. With surgery, she had a real chance at a normal life. The surgery cost $300,000. Brianna had $1,100 in her bank account. "Ms. Hayes, we need your decision by Monday morning." Dr. Patterson had told her this 6 hours ago. It was now Saturday night. Brianna had 48 hours to find money she didn't have, to save a life that meant more to her than her own. She pulled a worn business card from her wallet. The edges were soft from 5 years of being carried, hidden, touched, and put away again. Julian Torres, the card read. Software developer. There was a phone number beneath it. She had no idea if it still worked. She had no idea if he would even remember her. They had met at a coffee shop in downtown Philadelphia. He was working on his laptop, and she had accidentally bumped his table, spilling his drink. She'd apologized a dozen times, bought him a new coffee, and somehow they'd ended up talking for 3 hours. He was building something, he'd said. A tech startup that would change how people manage their data. She was working 2 jobs and taking night classes, trying to become a nurse. They'd dated for 4 months. 4 perfect months where Brianna thought maybe she'd found something real. Then Julian's company got its first investor meeting in California, and he flew out for what was supposed to be a week. He never came back. His phone number stopped working. His emails bounced back. He vanished like he'd never existed. 2 months after he disappeared, Brianna found out she was pregnant. She tried to find him. She really had. But Julian Torres was a common enough name, and without knowing his company's name or having any way to contact him, she hit dead ends everywhere. Eventually she stopped looking. She had a baby to prepare for, and clearly Julian had moved on with his life. Now that baby was 4 years old and fighting for every breath. Brianna looked at the card again. She had found his company 8 months ago, completely by accident. She'd been scrolling through a tech news site during her lunch break and saw his face. Julian Torres, CEO of Torres Data, valued at $2.3 billion. The article talked about his rise from a struggling startup to one of the fastest growing companies in data security. He looked different in the photo. Older, more polished, wearing an expensive suit instead of the hoodies and jeans she remembered. But it was definitely him. Same dark eyes, same slight smile, same small scar above his right eyebrow from a childhood accident he'd told her about. She'd stared at that article for 20 minutes, feeling a mix of anger and something else she couldn't name. He'd made it. He'd built his dream while she was working 3 jobs and raising their daughter alone. Part of her wanted to call him then, to tell him what he'd missed, what he'd left behind. But pride kept her silent. If he'd wanted to be found, he wouldn't have disappeared so completely. But now Amara was dying, and pride seemed like a stupid reason to let that happen. Brianna's phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "Any update? Can I come sit with you?" "Not yet," Brianna typed back. "I'm okay. Stay with Aunt Carol. I'll call if anything changes." Her mother had been her rock through everything. When Brianna's father walked out, when Brianna got pregnant and scared, when money got so tight they were eating rice and beans for weeks straight. Her mother never judged, never made her feel small. But her mother was 68 and living on Social Security. She couldn't help with this. Nobody could help with this except the man whose number she'd kept for 5 years. Amara stirred in her sleep, making a small sound of discomfort. Brianna immediately stood, checking the oxygen monitor, making sure the 4-line hadn't kinked. The nurses had shown her what to watch for. She'd become an expert at reading the machines, at knowing when Amara was about to have a bad spell. "It's okay, baby," Brianna whispered, smoothing back Amara's curly black hair. "Mama's right here." The little girl settled again, her breathing evening out slightly. Brianna sat back down, still holding the business card. What would she even say? "I remember me? The girl you ghosted 5 years ago? Well, surprise, you have a daughter and she's dying and I need your money." It sounded terrible. It sounded like she was trying to trap him or scam him. But it was the truth. He was Amara's father, whether he knew it or not. Whether he wanted to be or not. Brianna thought about all the time she'd struggled alone. The night Amara was born and she had nobody in the delivery room except a nurse who held her hand. The first time Amara smiled and Brianna had nobody to share the moment with. Every birthday, every milestone, every late night when Amara was sick and Brianna felt so scared and alone. Julian had missed all of it. But did that mean he deserved to miss the chance to save her? Brianna picked up her phone. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped it. She stared at the number on the card, then at her phone's keypad. The digits seemed to blur together. She thought about Amara's laugh. The way she loved strawberries and always asked for one more story before bed. How she wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up because she loved animals. How she'd asked last week why she didn't have a daddy like the other kids at daycare. Your daddy had to go away for work, Brianna had told her, the lie tasting bitter. But he would love you so much if he knew you. Would he though? There was only one way to find out. Brianna typed the number into her phone before she could change her mind. Her finger hovered over the call button. This was it. Once she made this call, everything would change. Either Julian would help or he wouldn't. Either he'd step up, or he'd confirm every fear she'd ever had about him. She pressed call. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Brianna's heart hammered so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. 4 rings. Maybe it was a sign. Maybe she should hang up and figure something else out. Take out loans she'd never be able to repay. Start a fundraiser online. Beg strangers for help. 5 rings. She was about to end the call when someone picked up. Hello. The voice was deeper than she remembered, rougher with sleep or tiredness. But it was definitely Julian. Brianna's throat closed up. She couldn't speak. 5 years of anger and hurt and loneliness sat on her chest like a weight. Hello? Anyone there? Julian sounded impatient now. Julian. Her voice came out as a whisper. She cleared her throat and tried again. Julian Torres? There was a pause. Yes. Who is this? It's Brianna. Brianna Hayes. We knew each other. In Philadelphia. 5 years ago. Another pause, longer this time. She could almost hear him thinking, trying to place her name with a memory. Brianna, he finally said, and something in his voice softened. The coffee shop. I remember. How did you get this number? You gave me your card. Back then. She looked down at Amara, gathering strength from her daughter's face. Julian, I need to tell you something. And I need you to not hang up. Okay. He sounded cautious now. I'm listening. You're a father. The words came out in a rush. I found out I was pregnant 2 months after you left. I tried to find you, but you'd changed everything. Your number didn't work. I had no way to reach you. I raised her alone. Her name is Amara. She's 4 years old and she's beautiful and she's funny and she loves animals. Silence on the other end. Complete silence. Julian? I'm here. His voice sounded strange. You're telling me I have a 4-year-old daughter? Yes. Why are you calling now? After 5 years. Brianna closed her eyes. Here was the part that made her sound like she was only calling because she wanted something. But it was the truth and Amara deserved the truth. She's sick. Really sick. She has a heart condition. Without surgery she has maybe 3 months. With surgery she has a real chance. But the surgery costs $300,000 and I don't have it. I've tried everything else. You're my last option. Her voice broke. I know how this sounds. I know you probably think I'm making this up or trying to get money from you. But I swear on everything that matters, she's yours and she's dying, and I don't know what else to do. Are you watching a child fight for her life while her mother makes an impossible choice? If this story is already pulling at your heart, subscribe now so you don't miss what happens when Julian arrives at the hospital. Will he step up or walk away again? Drop a comment below with what you think he should do. More silence. Brianna counted the seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. What hospital? Julian finally asked. St. Agnes. In Philadelphia. I'm in San Francisco right now. I can be there by morning. His voice was steady, decisive. Text me your room number. I'm booking a flight right now. Brianna felt tears streaming down her face. You believe me? Brianna, I was young and stupid and scared 5 years ago. I built something amazing, but I left you behind and that was wrong. If there's even a chance this is true, I need to be there. And if it is true, we'll figure out the surgery. We'll figure out everything. Just hold on until I get there. Okay, she whispered. Okay. I'll see you soon. The call ended. Brianna sat in the green plastic chair, phone still pressed to her ear, tears running down her face. She didn't know if they were tears of relief or fear or something else entirely. Amara stirred again and this time her eyes opened. They were brown like Julian's with those same gold flecks that caught the light. Mama? Her voice was so small. I'm thirsty. I'll get you some water, baby. Brianna stood and poured water from the pitcher on the bedside table. She held the straw to Amara's lips and watched her daughter take small sips. "My chest hurts," Amara said when she was done. "I know, sweetheart. But the doctors are going to fix it. They're going to make you all better. Promise?" Brianna smoothed her daughter's hair back again. "Promise?" She didn't mention that Amara's father was on his way. She didn't mention that in less than 12 hours, their small family of 2 might become 3. She didn't mention any of it because she still didn't quite believe it herself. But she sent Julian the room number and she sat back down in the green plastic chair and she waited. The night stretched on. Nurses came in to check vitals. Dr. Patterson stopped by to remind her again about the Monday deadline. Brianna nodded at everything, her mind somewhere else entirely. She thought about the Julian she'd known. The one who talked about his dreams with such passion. The one who made her laugh with terrible jokes. The one who held her hand while they walked through the city, pointing out buildings and telling her stories about growing up in Miami. Was that Julian still in there somewhere? Or had 5 years and billions of dollars changed him into someone completely different? She'd know soon enough. Around 3 in the morning, Brianna dozed off in the chair. She woke to her phone buzzing. A text from an unknown number, just landed. "Be there in 30 minutes. Her heart started racing again. This was really happening. Julian was really coming. She stood and walked to the small bathroom attached to the room. Her reflection in the mirror looked tired. Dark circles under her brown eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, still wearing the same jeans and red sweater she'd put on yesterday morning. She looked like what she was, a mother who'd been living at the hospital for 3 days, terrified and exhausted. She splashed water on her face and tried to make herself look more presentable. It didn't help much. When she came back out, Amara was awake again. "Hey baby. How are you feeling? Tired?" Amara looked at her with those 2 knowing eyes. "Mama, are you sad?" "No, sweetheart. I'm just worried about you." "Don't worry. I'm strong like you." Brianna's throat tightened. She sat on the edge of the bed, careful not to jostle any of the tubes and wires. "You're strong. The strongest kid I know. Tell me a story." "What kind of story?" "About princes, and dragons, and people being brave." So Brianna told her a story, making it up as she went along. A story about a little girl who was braver than any knight, who faced down dragons with nothing but her courage and her kind heart. Amara's eyes started to droop before the story was finished. "Did she win?" Amara murmured, already half asleep. "She did. She always wins because she never gives up. Like me. Just like you." Amara drifted off again. Brianna sat there, holding her small hand, thinking about all the battles they'd already fought. Late-night fevers. Financial struggles. Loneliness that felt like drowning. But they'd made it through. Together. Now they just had to make it through this. Footsteps in the hallway made Brianna look up. A man appeared in the doorway, and even though she'd been expecting him, the sight still knocked the breath from her lungs. Julian Torres stood there in dark jeans and a blue button-down shirt, a small travel bag over his shoulder. He looked older, more tired, but fundamentally the same. He was staring at Amara with an expression Brianna couldn't quite read. "Hi," she said quietly. Julian's eyes moved from Amara to Brianna. "Hi." They looked at each other across the hospital room, 5 years of absence sitting between them like a living thing. "She's beautiful," Julian finally said. "She looks like you." Brianna finished. "Everyone says so. The eyes especially." Julian stepped into the room slowly, like he was afraid of disturbing something sacred. He set his bag down and moved closer to the bed. Can I sit?" "Of course." He pulled over another chair and sat down, his eyes never leaving Amara's face. "I have a daughter," he said almost to himself. "I have a 4-year-old daughter and I never knew." "I tried to tell you," Brianna said. "I really did try." "I know. I believe you." He looked at her then. "I changed everything when I left. New number, new email, new address. I was so focused on the company that I cut off everything else. That was wrong. I was wrong." "Why did you leave like that? Without saying goodbye? Without anything?" Julian ran a hand through his hair. "The investor meeting went well. Too well. They wanted me to move to California immediately, to work with their team full-time. It was everything I'd been working for and I panicked. I thought if I stayed in Philadelphia, if I kept any ties there, I'd find a reason not to go. So I cut everything loose." He looked down at his hands. "I convinced myself it was the right thing to do. That you'd be better off without me dragging you into the chaos of a startup. But really I was just scared and selfish." "You were," Brianna agreed. but I understand being scared." They sat in silence for a moment, both watching Amara sleep. "Tell me about the surgery," Julian said. "Tell me everything." So Brianna did. She explained the diagnosis, the surgical procedure, the recovery time, the costs. Julian listened without interrupting, his face growing more serious with each detail. 300,000, he said when she was finished. "That's it? That's what stands between her and being healthy." "That's it. But that's more money than I've ever had in my life. More than I could make in 5 years. But it's not more money than I have." Julian looked at her directly. "Brianna, I'm going to pay for the surgery. I'm going to pay for everything. Hospital bills, medications, follow-up care, whatever she needs. And I'm going to set up a fund for her future. College or whatever she wants to do." Brianna felt tears starting again. "Julian, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. She's my daughter. I missed 4 years of her life. I can't get those years back, but I can make sure she has a future. I can make sure you both have everything you need." He reached across the space between them and took her hand. "Let me help. Please." Brianna wanted to say no. She wanted to hold on to her pride, to prove she could handle everything alone like she always had. But looking at Amara, at her baby fighting for every breath, she knew that pride was worthless compared to her daughter's life. "Okay," she said. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. I should have been here all along." Dawn was breaking outside the window, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. A new day was starting. Maybe a new chapter too. Julian stayed in the chair, still holding Brianna's hand, both of them watching over the little girl who had changed everything without even knowing it. Sunday morning came with weak sunshine filtering through the hospital blinds. Brianna had sent Julian to get breakfast, partly because they both needed food and partly because she needed a moment to breathe without him in the room. The past few hours felt surreal. Julian Torres, the man who had vanished from her life so completely, was now sitting in St. Agnes Hospital, talking to doctors about surgical procedures and writing checks that Brianna couldn't even imagine. When he'd met with Dr. Patterson at 7 that morning, Brianna had watched the entire conversation shift. The doctor's polite but worried expression transformed into something more confident, more assured. Money changed everything apparently. "We can schedule the surgery for Tuesday morning," Dr. Patterson had said, actually smiling. "I'll bring in Dr. Reeves. She's one of the best pediatric cardiac surgeons on the East Coast." "The best," Julian had corrected. "I want the absolute best for my daughter. My daughter." He'd said it so naturally, like it was a fact he'd always known instead of something he'd learned just hours ago. Now Brianna sat alone with Amara, who was still sleeping. The little girl had been doing that a lot lately. Sleeping more, moving less. Every day she seemed a bit weaker, a bit farther away. The surgery couldn't come soon enough. Brianna's phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "Coming by after church. I'm bringing lunch. That would be interesting." Her mother didn't know about Julian yet. Brianna hadn't told anyone about the call, about the father who had reappeared after 5 years. She wasn't sure how to explain it. How did you explain something you barely understood yourself? The door opened and Julian came back carrying coffee and a bag from the cafe downstairs. "Got you a latte and a muffin. I remember you liked blueberry." "You remember that?" Brianna took the coffee gratefully. "I remember a lot of things." Julian sat down and handed her the muffin. "I remember you studied better with background music. That you organized your notes by color. That you wanted to be a nurse because your grandmother was sick when you were little and the nurses were kind to you." Brianna felt something twist in her chest. "You paid attention." "Of course I did." Julian looked uncomfortable. "I know what I did makes it seem like I didn't care. But I did. I cared a lot. That was part of the problem." "How is caring a problem?" Julian took a sip of his coffee before answering. "I grew up poor. Really poor. My mom worked 3 jobs just to keep us in a 1-bedroom apartment. I watched her kill herself trying to give me opportunities, and I swore I'd make something of myself. When the investor meeting happened, when they offered me everything I'd been dreaming of, I thought I had to choose. The company or you. My future or our relationship. So I chose the company." "You could have talked to me," Brianna said quietly. "You could have told me what was happening instead of just disappearing." "I know. But I was 23 and terrified and convinced that anything I cared about would hold me back." He looked at Amara. "I was an idiot." "Yeah," Brianna agreed. "You were." They sat in silence, eating their breakfast. It wasn't comfortable exactly, but it wasn't hostile either. Just 2 people who used to know each other trying to figure out what they were now. "Tell me about her," Julian said eventually. "Tell me everything. What's she like?" Brianna felt herself smile despite everything. She's funny. Really funny. She makes up jokes that don't make sense, but she laughs so hard at them that you can't help laughing too. She's kind. Always worried about other people. Last month she used her birthday money to buy food for the stray cat in our building. She sounds amazing. She is. She's also stubborn. When she decides she wants something, good luck changing her mind. Brianna paused. She gets that from both of us, I think. Julian laughed, a real laugh that reminded Brianna of who he used to be. Yeah, probably. She asks about you sometimes. About her dad. I never knew what to say. I didn't want to make you the villain, but I also didn't want to lie and make excuses. What did you tell her? That you had to go away for work. That sometimes adults make mistakes. That if you knew about her, you'd love her. Brianna looked at him. I hope that last part is true. Julian's expression turned serious. It is. I barely know her and I already love her. How could I not? Amara stirred then, her eyes fluttering open. She looked confused for a moment before focusing on her mother. Hi, baby, Brianna said gently. How are you feeling? My chest still hurts. Amara's voice was scratchy. Then she noticed Julian and went very still. Who's that? Brianna's heart started pounding. This was it. The moment she'd been both anticipating and dreading. Amara, this is Julian. He's an old friend of mine. He came to visit us. Julian moved his chair a bit closer but kept his distance, not wanting to overwhelm her. Hi, Amara. Your mom told me you like animals. Amara studied him with those serious brown eyes. I do. I want to be a vet when I grow up. So I can help sick animals get better. That's really cool. I bet you'd be great at that. Are you going to stay? Amara asked, direct as always. Julian glanced at Brianna before answering. Yeah. I'm going to stay for a while. Is that okay? Amara considered this. Okay. But you have to tell me a story. Mama always tells me stories, but she's tired. I'd love to tell you a story. What kind do you like? About dragons and brave people. So Julian told her a story. He made it up as he went, about a clever girl who befriended a dragon everyone else was afraid of. Brianna watched them together, seeing the similarities she'd always noticed. The way they both tilted their heads when they were thinking. The exact same smile. The gold flecks in their brown eyes that caught the light. Amara fell asleep again before the story was finished, worn out from even that small interaction. She really is mine, Julian said softly, almost wonderingly. Yes. I missed so much. You did, Brianna agreed. But you're here now. That matters. Julian looked at her. I'm not going anywhere this time. I want to be clear about that. I'm staying. I'm going to be part of her life. Part of both your lives if you'll let me. Let's start with getting her through the surgery, Brianna said. Then we can figure out the rest. The door opened and a nurse came in, followed by a woman in a white coat. The woman was in her 50s with gray-streaked hair and a confident presence. Miss Hayes? I'm Dr. Reeves. Dr. Patterson asked me to come evaluate Amara for surgery. Julian stood immediately. Thank you for coming so quickly. Dr. Reeves looked between them. You must be the father. Dr. Patterson mentioned you'd be covering the costs. Yes. Whatever she needs. Good. Dr. Reeves moved to Amara's bedside and began a gentle examination. She listened to her heart, checked her breathing, reviewed the monitors. Amara barely stirred. After 10 minutes, Dr. Reeves straightened up. The diagnosis is accurate. Tetralogy of Fallot, severe. She needs surgical repair as soon as possible. I can do it Tuesday morning if we can get the surgical suite. Get the surgical suite, Julian said immediately. Mr. Torres, this is a complex procedure. There are risks. What happens if we don't do it? Heart failure. Probably within 3 months. Then we do it. Whatever the risks, they're better than the alternative. Dr. Reeves nodded. I'll make the arrangements. We'll need you both to sign consent forms. Brianna, I'll have someone go over the procedure with you in detail. Make sure you understand everything. Thank you, Brianna said. After Dr. Reeves left, Brianna felt the weight of the decision settling over her. Tuesday. 2 days away. Her baby would be in surgery, cut open, her tiny heart repaired by skilled hands and advanced technology. It was terrifying and hopeful at the same time. She's going to be okay, Julian said like he could read her thoughts. Dr. Reeves is one of the best. I researched her while you were talking. She has a 97% success rate with this surgery. And the other 3%? Don't think about that. Think about the 97. Brianna's mother arrived at noon with containers of food and questions in her eyes when she saw Julian. "Mama, this is Julian Torres," Brianna said carefully. "He's Amara's father." Her mother's eyes went wide. She looked at Julian, then at Brianna, then back at Julian. "The one who left?" "Yes, ma'am," Julian said, standing. "The one who left and who deeply regrets it." "Mama, he's paying for the surgery," Brianna added. "It's happening Tuesday." Her mother processed this information slowly. Then she set down the food containers and pulled Julian into an unexpected hug. "Thank you," she said fiercely. "Thank you for coming back. Thank you for helping my grandbaby." Julian looked surprised but hugged her back. "Of course. She's my daughter." "She is. And don't you forget it again." "I won't, ma'am. I promise." They ate lunch together, the four of them. Well, three of them ate while Amara slept. Julian and Brianna's mother talked, awkward at first but gradually warming. Julian asked about Brianna's childhood, about her family, about the years he'd missed. Her mother answered honestly, not hiding the struggles but not dwelling on them either. "She worked so hard," her mother said, looking at Brianna with pride. "3 jobs, taking care of a baby, still trying to finish school. I've never seen someone so determined." "She was always determined," Julian said. "Even when I knew her before." "Before you left," her mother corrected, not unkindly but firmly. "Before I made the biggest mistake of my life," Julian agreed. The afternoon passed. Julian made phone calls, arranging things for the surgery. Brianna dozed in her chair, exhausted from days of stress. Her mother sat by Amara's bedside, humming old gospel songs quietly. When evening came, Julian walked Brianna's mother to her car. "Are you really staying?" her mother asked him at the door. "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Because that little girl deserves a father, and my daughter deserves someone who won't run when things get hard." "I'm not running," Julian said. "Not this time. Not ever again." When he came back to the room, Brianna was awake. Amara was too, eating jello from a small cup. "Mama says I'm getting surgery," Amara said to Julian. "To fix my heart." "That's right," Julian told her. "The doctors are going to make you feel so much better." "Will it hurt?" Julian looked at Brianna, unsure how to answer. She stepped in. "You'll be asleep the whole time, baby. And when you wake up, we'll be right there. Me and Julian both. Promise?" "Promise," they said together. That night, after Amara fell asleep again, Julian left to check into a hotel. But he was back by 8 the next morning with coffee and breakfast, ready to face another day of waiting. Monday passed slowly. More doctors came to examine Amara and explain the procedure. Forms were signed. Risks were acknowledged. Brianna felt like she was signing her daughter's life over to strangers, even though logically she knew they were the only ones who could save her. Julian stayed the entire time, asking questions, taking notes, making sure everything was perfect. He'd changed, Brianna realized. He was still the Julian she remembered, but older, more careful, more thoughtful. The scared young man who'd run away had become someone who stayed and faced things head-on. Monday night, with surgery scheduled for 7 the next morning, they sat together in the dark hospital room. Amara was sleeping, her monitors beeping steadily. "I'm scared," Brianna admitted quietly. "Me too," Julian said. "But she's strong. Like you." "How do you know I'm strong?" "You barely know me anymore. I know you raised a beautiful, kind, funny little girl by yourself while working 3 jobs. I know you kept going even when I left you alone. I know you swallowed your pride to call me because your daughter needed help." He looked at her in the dim light. "That's the definition of strong." Brianna felt tears sliding down her face. "I'm glad you came. I'm glad you believed me. I'm glad you called. Even though it must have been hard." They sat in silence, both of them thinking about the next day, about the surgery, about all the ways their lives had changed in just 2 days. "Whatever happens tomorrow," Julian said, "we face it together." "Okay. Okay," Brianna agreed. And for the first time in 5 years, she didn't feel completely alone. Tuesday morning arrived too quickly and too slowly at the same time. Brianna had barely slept, just dozed in the uncomfortable chair while listening to Amara's breathing. At 5 in the morning, nurses came in to prep Amara for surgery. The little girl was groggy and confused. "Mama? What's happening?" "Remember, baby? Today the doctors are going to fix your heart. Make it all better so you can run and play without getting tired." "I don't want to," Amara said, suddenly scared. "I want to stay here with you. I'll be right here when you wake up. I promise." Julian had arrived at 4:30, looking like he hadn't slept either. He stood back while the nurses worked, but Amara noticed him. "Julian?" Her voice was small. He came closer. Hey kiddo. How are you doing? Scared. That's okay. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you're scared and you do it anyway. Will you stay with Mama? So she's not alone? Julian's expression softened. Absolutely. I'll take good care of her. Okay. Amara seemed satisfied with this. At 6:30 they wheeled Amara toward the surgical wing. Brianna and Julian walked alongside the gurney as far as they were allowed. At the doors to the surgical suite they had to stop. Brianna leaned over and kissed her daughter's forehead. I love you so much, baby. You're going to do great. Love you, Mama. Julian touched Amara's hand gently. See you soon, Amara. Then the doors swung shut and their daughter was gone. Brianna stood frozen, staring at the closed doors. Her baby was on the other side, about to be cut open, her heart exposed and repaired by strangers. The rational part of Brianna's brain knew this was necessary, that Dr. Reeves was skilled, that everything would be fine. But the mother part of her brain was screaming. Come on, Julian said gently, taking her elbow. Let's go to the waiting room. The surgical waiting room was painted in calming blues and greens with comfortable chairs and magazines nobody ever read. 3 other families were already there, all of them wearing the same expression of tense worry. Brianna sat down and Julian sat beside her. For a long time neither of them spoke. Tell me about when she was born, Julian finally said. Tell me about that day. Brianna looked at him, surprised. Why? Because I missed it. Because I want to know. He paused. If it's too hard to talk about, I understand. But I'd like to hear. So Brianna told him. About going into labor 3 weeks early, about being terrified and alone in the hospital. About the pain being worse than she'd imagined, about the moment when they placed a tiny, screaming baby on her chest. She had all this hair, Brianna said, smiling at the memory. The nurses couldn't believe it. Most newborns are bald, but Amara had a full head of curly black hair. And when she opened her eyes and looked at me, I knew we were going to be okay. Just the 2 of us. What was it like? That first year? Exhausting. Beautiful. Terrifying. I had no idea what I was doing. My mom helped, but she was working too. I remember coming home from the hospital with this tiny person and thinking, what now? Nobody tells you how to actually do this. But you figured it out. Eventually. There were nights when Amara wouldn't stop crying and I cried right along with her. Times when I was so tired I felt like I was going to collapse. But then she'd smile at me or make this little cooing sound and it all felt worth it. Julian listened intently, taking in every detail. Brianna found herself talking more freely than she'd expected, telling him about Amara's first word, Mama, her first steps at 11 months, her first day of daycare, tears from both of them. She's always been curious, Brianna said. Always asking questions about everything. Why is the sky blue? Where do birds go at night? What makes thunder? I spent so much time on Google looking up answers. What about her health? When did you notice something was wrong? Brianna's smile faded. She was always a bit more tired than other kids. I thought it was normal, just her personality. But about 6 months ago, she started turning blue around her lips after playing. Her pediatrician ordered tests, and that's when we found out about her heart. Did they tell you how serious it was right away? They said she needed surgery. But surgery costs money I didn't have, and insurance barely covers anything. I tried everything. Applied for assistance programs, started a fundraiser online, picked up extra shifts at work. Nothing was enough. I'm sorry you had to go through that alone. I wasn't completely alone. My mom helped. A few friends did what they could. But yeah, it was mostly just me. Brianna looked at him. That's what being a parent is, though. Doing whatever you have to do. I want to do that, Julian said. I want to be that for her. For both of you. You don't have to feel obligated. You didn't know about her. It's not about obligation. She's my daughter. Julian ran his hand through his hair, frustrated with himself. I know I don't have the right to just walk in and claim that title. I know I have to earn it. But I want to try. If you'll let me. Before Brianna could answer, a nurse came out. Hayes family? They both stood up quickly. The surgery has started, the nurse said. Dr. Reeves wanted you to know everything is going well so far. It will be about 4 to 6 hours total. Thank you, Brianna managed to say. The nurse left and they sat back down. 4 to 6 hours. That was how long Brianna's daughter would be in surgery. How long she would have to sit here and wait and hope and pray. Her phone buzzed. Her mother, praying for our girl. Let me know as soon as there's news. Brianna responded, will do. Surgery just started. More messages came in. Friends from work, neighbors, people from their building. News of Amara's surgery had spread, and everyone was sending support. It was overwhelming and comforting at the same time. You have a lot of people who care about you, Julian observed. Yeah. I'm lucky that way. Brianna put her phone down. What about you? What's your life like in California? Julian shifted in his seat. Busy. Really busy. The company took off faster than I expected. We went from 5 employees to 500 in 3 years. That's amazing. It is. It's also kind of isolating. When you're the CEO, everyone treats you differently. You can't really have friends at work because you're everyone's boss. And outside of work, people either want something from you or they're intimidated by you. So you're lonely. Yeah, Julian admitted. I am. I threw myself into building the company because I convinced myself that success would be enough. That if I just worked hard enough, made enough money, proved myself enough, I'd be happy. But happiness doesn't really work like that. No, it doesn't. They sat in silence for a while. Other families came and went, called back for updates. Brianna watched the clock. An hour passed then too. I need to tell you something, Julian said suddenly. About why I really left. Brianna looked at him. Okay. I told you I was scared and focused on the company. That's true. But there was more to it. He took a breath. My father left when I was 5. Just walked out one day and never came back. I watched my mom struggle, watched her blame herself, watched her work herself to the bone trying to make up for him being gone. I'm sorry. I swore I'd never be like him. But when the investor meeting went well, when they offered me everything I'd been working for, I panicked. What if I failed? What if the company crashed and I ended up back where I started, broke and useless? What if I let you down the same way my father let us down? So you left first, Brianna said, understanding. Before you could fail. Yeah. I convinced myself I was being smart, being practical. But really I was being a coward. I was doing exactly what my father did, just with better excuses. Did you ever think about me? After you left. All the time. I almost called you so many times, but I was ashamed. How do you explain to someone that you ghosted them because you were scared? And the longer I waited, the harder it got. Eventually, I convinced myself you were better off without me. I wasn't, Brianna said quietly. Better off, I mean. It was really hard. I know. I'm so sorry, Brianna. For leaving, for disappearing, for missing everything. I can't undo any of that. But I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere. Brianna wanted to believe him. Part of her did believe him. But another part, the part that had been hurt and abandoned, was cautious. Let's just focus on Amara right now, she said. The rest we can figure out later. 3 hours into the surgery, Dr. Reeves came out to give them an update. Everything is going well. We're about halfway through. Amara's heart is responding beautifully to the repair. Thank you, Brianna said, feeling weak with relief. After the doctor left, Julian bought them both terrible vending machine coffee and stale sandwiches. They ate without tasting anything, just needing something to do. Tell me more about her, Julian said. What makes her laugh? What's she afraid of? What does she dream about? So Brianna told him everything she could think of. Amara loved strawberries but hated bananas. She was afraid of thunderstorms but loved rain. She wanted a puppy more than anything but understood they couldn't afford one. She loved to draw, usually pictures of animals with wildly inaccurate colors and proportions. She sang constantly, making up her own songs about whatever she was doing. She sounds perfect, Julian said. She is. Even when she's being stubborn or throwing a tantrum over not getting dessert. She's perfect. 4 hours. 5 hours. Brianna felt like she was going to vibrate out of her skin from stress. Julian kept her talking, asking about Amara, about Brianna's life, about anything and everything. Finally, after 5.5 hours, Dr. Reeves came out still in her surgical scrubs. Brianna stood up so fast she nearly fell over. How is she? Dr. Reeves smiled. The surgery was a complete success. We repaired all 4 defects and her heart is functioning beautifully. She's in recovery now. Brianna burst into tears. Julian caught her as her knees buckled, holding her up. She's okay, he kept saying. She's okay. When can we see her? Brianna asked when she could speak again. She'll be in recovery for about an hour, then we'll move her to pediatric ICU. You can see her then. She'll be sedated for the rest of today and probably tomorrow, but she's going to be fine. After Dr. Reeves left, Brianna sank back into her chair, shaking. Julian sat beside her, his arm around her shoulders. Our daughter is going to be okay, he said softly. Our daughter. Brianna heard it this time, really heard it. Not my daughter or your daughter. Ours. Yeah, she whispered. She is. They sat there together, two people brought back together by love for a little girl neither of them was willing to lose. The pediatric ICU was quieter than Brianna expected. Dim lighting, hushed voices, and the steady beep of monitors created an atmosphere that was both peaceful and unsettling. A nurse led them to Amara's room, warning them before they entered. She looks worse than she is, the nurse said kindly. The tubes and machines are scary but they're helping her heal. Talk to her. Even though she's sedated, hearing familiar voices helps. When Brianna saw her daughter in the ICU bed, she had to grab the door frame to steady herself. Amara looked so tiny surrounded by all the equipment. A breathing tube down her throat, for lines in both arms, monitors taped to her chest, drainage tubes coming out from under the bandages. Oh baby, Brianna whispered, moving to the bedside. Julian stood back, his face pale. She's breathing okay? Her heart is working. Her vitals are strong, the nurse assured him. The breathing tube will come out tomorrow if she continues doing this well. The chest tubes in a few days. Everything you're seeing is normal for this type of surgery. The nurse left them alone. Brianna pulled a chair as close to the bed as possible and took Amara's small hand, careful not to disturb any of the tubes. Hey, sweet girl. Mama's here. You did so good. The surgery is all done and you're going to feel so much better when you wake up. Her voice broke. I'm so proud of you. Julian moved closer, standing on the other side of the bed. He reached out, then pulled his hand back, uncertain. You can touch her, Brianna said. She's stronger than she looks. Julian gently placed his hand on Amara's head, his fingers barely touching her curls. Hey kiddo. You're the bravest person I know. They stayed like that for a long time, both of them keeping vigil over the little girl who had survived the surgery but still had a long recovery ahead. A different nurse came in to check vitals and adjust medications. You both should get something to eat. Maybe get some rest. She won't wake up today. I'm not leaving, Brianna said immediately. There's a parent sleeping room down the hall. You can stay close but get some actual sleep. I'm fine here. Julian touched Brianna's shoulder gently. I'll go get us some real food. Not vending machine stuff. What sounds good? I'm not hungry. Brianna, you need to eat. You've been running on coffee and stress for days. His voice was gentle but firm. Amara needs you healthy when she wakes up. Brianna wanted to argue but he was right. She'd barely eaten anything substantial since Saturday. Anything is fine. Whatever. After Julian left, Brianna sat in the quiet ICU room, listening to the monitors, watching the steady rise and fall of Amara's chest. The surgery was over. Her baby had made it through. But seeing her like this, so vulnerable and small, made Brianna's heart ache. You're going to grow up strong now, Brianna told her sleeping daughter. You'll be able to run and play like other kids. You'll chase dogs in the park. You'll learn to ride a bike. You'll do all the things you've never been able to do. She thought about all the times Amara had to sit on the sidelines at daycare because she got too tired. The way other kids would run and play while Amara watched, too breathless to join them. That was over now. After she healed, Amara would be a normal, healthy kid. Julian came back with food from a Thai restaurant nearby. He'd bought enough for several meals. Pad Thai, spring rolls, curry rice. They ate quietly, both of them keeping their eyes on Amara. Dr. Reeves called me, Julian said between bites. She wanted to go over the recovery timeline. Amara will be in ICU for 3 to 5 days, then move to a regular room for another week. After discharge, she'll need to take it easy for about 6 weeks. 6 weeks. That's it. That's it. Then she can start returning to normal activities gradually. By 3 months post-surgery, she should be completely healed. Brianna processed this. 3 months from now, Amara would be healthy. Really healthy. It seemed impossible after living with her daughter's illness for so long. Julian, she started, then paused. I need to ask you something. Anything. What happens after this? After Amara is better and goes home? Julian set down his food. What do you mean? I mean, you live in California. Your company is there. Your whole life is there. Are you going back? Are you going to visit sometimes? How is this going to work? I'm not going back, Julian said firmly. Not permanently. I'm moving to Philadelphia. Brianna stared at him. You can't just move. Your company. My company will survive. I have excellent people in California who can handle day-to-day operations. Technology exists. I can work remotely for important stuff and fly out when absolutely necessary. He looked at Amara, then back at Brianna. But my daughter is here. I'm not missing any more of her life. Julian, that's a huge decision. You can't just upend your whole life. Yes, I can. And I am. His voice was calm but certain. I already talked to my board this morning. I'm transitioning to a different role. Less hands-on, more strategic oversight. It's not a problem. But, Brianna, I have more money than I know what to do with. The company is successful. I can structure my life however I want. And I want to be here. I want to be a real father, not someone who visits once a month and sends checks. Brianna didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to tell him he was being impulsive, making decisions too quickly. But another part of her, the part that had been alone for 5 years, felt relief. Okay, she finally said. If you're sure. I'm sure. They fell into silence again, the kind that was becoming familiar between them. Not entirely comfortable but not hostile either. Just two people figuring things out one step at a time. Over the next 2 days, Brianna and Julian took turns sitting with Amara. They slept in the parents' sleeping room, taking shifts so someone was always with her. Julian brought Brianna changes of clothes from her apartment, toiletries, anything she needed. He was attentive without being pushy, helpful without being overbearing. On Wednesday morning, the breathing tube came out. Amara woke up briefly, confused and uncomfortable before the pain medication pulled her back under. But she'd squeezed Brianna's hand, which felt like the most beautiful thing in the world. By Thursday, Amara was awake for longer periods. She was in pain, uncomfortable and cranky about all the tubes and restrictions. But she was alive and healing. My chest hurts, she complained to Brianna. I know, baby. The doctors had to fix your heart. It needs time to heal. I don't like it here. I know. But you're doing so good. The doctors are really proud of you. Julian came in with a stuffed elephant he'd found in the gift shop. Hey Amara. I brought you a friend. Amara looked at the elephant, then at Julian. Is it for me? Yep. His name is… Actually, you should name him. He's your elephant. Amara held the stuffed animal carefully, studying it. Peanut. His name is Peanut. Peanut is a great name. Are you my dad? Amara asked suddenly, her voice matter-of-fact. The question hung in the air. Brianna's heart stopped. They'd been avoiding this conversation, waiting for the right time. Apparently, Amara had figured things out on her own. Julian knelt by the bed so he was at her eye level. Yes, I am. Why weren't you here before? Because I made a mistake. A really big mistake. I didn't know about you and that's my fault. But I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere ever again. Amara considered this with her typical seriousness. Okay, can you stay? I don't like being here alone. I'll stay as long as you want. Forever. Julian's voice was thick with emotion. Forever. Okay. Amara seemed satisfied with this answer. She hugged Peanut the elephant and closed her eyes, tired from the short conversation. Brianna and Julian looked at each other over their daughter's bed. Something had shifted, settled into place. They weren't just two people trying to figure things out anymore. They were parents, together, committed to this little girl. By Friday, Amara was moved out of ICU and into a regular pediatric room. The space was more cheerful, with colorful walls and a window that let in real sunlight. Amara could sit up with help and she was starting to eat small amounts of food. Brianna's mother visited, bringing flowers and homemade cookies. Look at you, sweet girl. Sitting up already. You're so strong. Grandma, I have a dad now, Amara announced. I know, baby. That's wonderful. His name is Julian and he got me this elephant. His name is Peanut. Peanut is very cute. Julian had stepped out to take a phone call, and Brianna's mother used the opportunity to pull Brianna aside. How are you doing with all this? She asked quietly. I'm okay. It's a lot to process. He seems like he's trying to make things right. He is. I just don't know what to think about everything. 5 years, Mama. He was gone for 5 years and now he's back and it's like he never left. Except it's not, because he did leave. People make mistakes, baby. What matters is what they do after. What if he leaves again? What if Amara gets attached and he decides this is too hard? Then we deal with it. But I don't think he's going anywhere. I've seen the way he looks at her. That man is in love with his daughter. Brianna knew her mother was right. She'd seen it too. The way Julian's entire face softened when Amara looked at him. The way he jumped to fulfill her smallest request. The way he'd rearranged his entire life without hesitation. What about you? Her mother asked. How do you feel about him? I don't know. I'm grateful. I'm confused. I'm angry about the past but hopeful about the future. It's complicated. Love usually is. I didn't say anything about love. Her mother just smiled. You didn't have to. Over the weekend, Amara continued to improve. The drainage tubes came out. She was eating more, moving more, complaining more. All signs of healing. Julian brought games and books to keep her entertained. He read to her for hours, doing funny voices for different characters that made Amara giggle. He helped her walk the hallway with her 4-pole, celebrating each small distance like it was a marathon. Brianna watched it all, feeling her carefully built walls starting to crack. It would be easier if Julian was doing this out of obligation or guilt. But he wasn't. He genuinely loved Amara. You could see it in everything he did. Sunday night, after Amara had fallen asleep, Julian and Brianna sat in the chairs by her bed. I've been thinking, Julian said. About everything. About the future. Okay. I want to help you. Not just with medical bills but with everything. I want to set up a college fund for Amara. I want to make sure you both have everything you need. Brianna stiffened. Julian, I don't need your money. It's not about need. It's about being fair. I missed 5 years of child support. 5 years of expenses and struggles you handled alone. Let me make that right. I don't want to be a charity case. You're not. You're the mother of my child. We're family. He paused. Unless you don't want to be. Unless you want me to just be Amara's dad and nothing more to you. I don't know what I want, Brianna admitted. This is all happening so fast. A week ago I thought I'd never see you again. Now you're talking about moving here and setting up college funds and being family. Too fast. Maybe. I don't know. She looked at him. I need time to figure out how I feel about everything. That's fair. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. They sat in silence, watching Amara sleep. Outside the window, the city lights twinkled in the darkness. Life was continuing out there, people going about their business, unaware that inside this hospital room, 2 people were trying to build something new from the pieces of something broken. Thank you, Brianna said quietly. For coming. For believing me. For being here. You don't have to thank me for doing what I should have been doing all along. Still. Thank you. Julian reached over and took her hand. Brianna let him, and they sat there together, connected by their daughter and by something else neither of them was quite ready to name yet. 10 days after surgery, Dr. Reeves cleared Amara to go home. Not to Brianna's cramped studio apartment with the broken elevator and drafty windows, but to a furnished apartment Julian had rented in a building 3 blocks from the hospital. Just until she's fully recovered, Julian explained when he showed Brianna the lease. It's month to month. 2 bedrooms, elevator, close to everything. You can move out whenever you want. Brianna had wanted to argue on principle. She didn't need Julian to solve all her problems. But looking at the apartment with its clean floors, working heat, and actual space for Amara to recover comfortably, she swallowed her pride. Thank you, she said. Really? This is perfect. They brought Amara home on a Tuesday afternoon. She was still weak, still healing, but the change from hospital to home was immediate. The little girl perked up when she saw the new apartment, especially the bedroom that Julian had furnished with a soft blue bed, shelves for books and toys, and a window overlooking a small park. Is this mine? Amara asked, eyes wide. All yours, Julian said. Do you like it? I love it. She hugged Peanut the elephant closer. Peanut loves it too. They got her settled in bed with strict instructions from Dr. Reeves about rest, medication schedules, and warning signs to watch for. Brianna set up camp in Amara's room, but Julian had made sure the other bedroom was comfortable too. You need to sleep, he told Brianna. Real sleep. In a real bed. Amara's okay. You can check on her, but you have to take care of yourself too. I will. Brianna. I will. I promise. The first week home was an adjustment. Amara was frustrated by all the things she couldn't do yet. No running, no jumping, no rough play. She had to rest frequently and take multiple medications on a strict schedule. She hated all of it. I'm tired of being tired, she complained to Julian one afternoon. I know. But your heart is healing. In a few weeks you'll feel so much better. Better than you've ever felt before. Promise. Promise. Julian had been true to his word about staying. He'd moved into the 3rd bedroom of the apartment temporarily while looking for his own place nearby. He worked remotely during the day while Brianna cared for Amara, and in the evenings they traded off so Brianna could have breaks. It was surprisingly domestic, the 3 of them living together. Julian cooked dinner most nights since Brianna was exhausted from caregiving. They ate together, talking about their days. Julian told Amara stories about his work, making data security sound like adventures. Amara told them about the show she'd watched and the drawing she'd made. Brianna watched it all, still not quite believing this was her life now. 2 weeks after coming home, Amara had a follow-up appointment with Dr. Reeves. The news was excellent. Her heart was healing perfectly. The incision was closing well. She could start gradually increasing her activity level. By 6 weeks post-op she can return to daycare, Dr. Reeves said. By 3 months she can do everything a normal kid does. Can I get a puppy then? Amara asked immediately. Dr. Reeves laughed. That's a question for your parents. Your parents. Plural. Brianna and Julian exchanged glances. We'll talk about it, Brianna said. In the car ride home, Amara fell asleep in her car seat. Julian was driving and Brianna sat in the passenger seat watching the city pass by. She wants a puppy, Julian said, smiling. She's wanted a puppy since she learned what puppies were. I always had to say no because we couldn't afford it. Vet bills, food, everything. It was too much. What if we could afford it now? Julian. I'm serious. If you're okay with it, I'd love to get her a dog. Something small and gentle. Good for kids. Brianna wanted to say no automatically. But why? Because accepting help felt like weakness? Because admitting Julian could provide things she couldn't hurt her pride? Let's wait until she's fully healed, Brianna said. Then we can talk about it. Deal. That night, after Amara was asleep, Julian and Brianna sat in the living room. It had become their routine. Once Amara was down for the night, they'd sit together, sometimes talking, sometimes just existing in the same space. I have to go to California next week, Julian said. Just for 3 days. Board meeting I can't miss. Will you be okay? Of course. We managed for 5 years without you. We can manage for 3 days. Julian winced. I didn't mean it like that. Brianna sighed. I know. I'm sorry. That was unfair. It's not unfair. It's true. He looked at her. I know you're still angry about me leaving. You have every right to be. I'm not angry. Not exactly. I'm just adjusting. This is all so different from how I thought my life would be. Better or worse? Different. Amara is healing. That's better. Everything else is just complicated. Julian nodded, accepting this. I'm glad she's healing. That's what matters most. They sat in silence for a while. Then Brianna asked, What's it like? Your company? Your life in California? It's busy. High pressure. Lots of people depending on me. Julian paused. I built something I'm proud of, but it's also lonely. I threw myself into work after I left Philadelphia, convinced myself that success would be enough. It never was. Did you date? In those 5 years? A few times. Nothing serious. It always felt wrong and I couldn't figure out why. He looked at her directly. I think part of me knew I'd left something important behind. Brianna's heart did something complicated in her chest. Julian. I'm not saying that to pressure you or make you feel guilty. I'm just being honest. I thought about you. A lot. I almost called so many times. Why didn't you? Pride. Shame. Fear that you'd tell me to get lost, which would have been totally justified. He ran his hand through his hair. I convinced myself you'd moved on, found someone better. Someone who didn't run away when things got serious. I didn't move on. I didn't have time. Between working and raising Amara and trying to survive, dating was impossible. Not that I wanted to. Every guy I met I compared to you. To who you were before you left. And nobody measured up. Brianna looked away, uncomfortable with the admission. It was easier to just focus on Amara and not think about relationships. Do you think about them now? Brianna knew what he was really asking. She stood up, suddenly restless. I need to check on Amara. She went into Amara's room and stood by the bed, watching her daughter sleep peacefully. The surgery scar was healing under her pajamas, a permanent reminder of how close they'd come to losing everything. Julian appeared in the doorway. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pushed. It's not that. It's just. Brianna struggled to find the words. 5 years ago I thought I knew you. I thought we had something real. Then you disappeared and I realized I didn't know you at all. Now you're back and you're different but also the same and I don't know what to think. What do you want to think? That's the problem. I don't know. She looked at him. Part of me is still angry. Part of me is grateful. Part of me wants to trust you, and part of me is terrified you'll leave again. Julian crossed the room slowly. I understand. I can't promise I'll never make mistakes. But I can promise I'll never leave. Not you, not Amara. We're family now, whether it's complicated or not. Family, Brianna repeated softly. Yeah. Whatever that looks like for us, whatever you're comfortable with, we figure it out together. They stood in Amara's doorway, close enough that Brianna could feel the warmth from his body. It would be easy to close the distance, to fall back into something familiar. But was that wise? Was it fair to anyone? I need time, Brianna said finally. Time to sort through everything I'm feeling. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Julian went to California that weekend, and Brianna was surprised by how much she missed him. Not just his help with Amara, but his presence. The way he made coffee in the morning. The sound of his voice reading bedtime stories. The feeling of not being completely alone. Amara missed him too. When is Julian coming back? In 2 days, baby. That's forever. It's not that long. But it felt long to Brianna too. She filled the time by taking Amara to the park, letting her sit on a bench and watch other kids play. Soon, Amara would be able to join them. That thought kept Brianna going. Her mother visited, bringing groceries and maternal wisdom. You're falling for him again, she observed while Amara napped. I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, you do. You're scared. That's different. What if he leaves? What if he doesn't? Her mother took her hand. Baby, you can't live your life afraid of being hurt. Sometimes you have to take chances. Even when the chance already hurt you once? Especially then. Because now you know what you're risking and you can decide if it's worth it. Brianna thought about that long after her mother left. Was Julian worth the risk? Was the possibility of something real worth the fear of being abandoned again? She didn't have an answer yet. Julian came back Wednesday evening, looking tired but happy to be home. Amara squealed when she saw him, carefully throwing her arms around his waist. I missed you, she said. I missed you too, kiddo. I brought you something. He pulled out a stuffed dog, golden and fluffy. His name is Buddy. He's a practice puppy until you're ready for a real one. Amara clutched the stuffed dog with delight. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Dad. Everything stopped. Julian's eyes went wide. Brianna's breath caught. Say that again? Julian's voice was thick. Thank you, Dad. Amara looked between them, confused by their reactions. Is that okay? Can I call you that? Julian knelt down and pulled her into a gentle hug. That's more than okay. That's perfect. Brianna watched father and daughter embrace, and something inside her chest cracked open. This was real. This was happening. They were becoming a family. That night, after Amara had fallen asleep clutching both Peanut and Buddy, Julian found Brianna in the kitchen. She called me Dad, he said, still sounding amazed. She did. I didn't think it would feel like this. Like everything suddenly makes sense. Brianna smiled. Welcome to being a parent. It's terrifying and wonderful and confusing all at once. I'm starting to understand that. He leaned against the counter. The California trip was good. I finalized the transition plan. By next month, I'll be working primarily from Philadelphia. I'll only need to go back once a month or so. That's really happening? You're really moving? Already done. I closed on a house yesterday. 3 blocks from here. 3 bedrooms, backyard, good school district nearby. You bought a house? I did. I wanted Amara to have stability. A real home, not an apartment. Somewhere she can grow up. He paused. I hoped maybe you'd both want to spend time there. Not move in necessarily, but visit. So Amara can have her own room at Dad's house. The casual way he said it, like it was the most natural thing in the world, made Brianna's heart ache. You're really doing this. The whole Dad thing. I'm really doing this. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, I'm committed. He looked at her seriously. To her, definitely. But also to you if you'll let me be. Julian, I still don't know. I know. I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just telling you where I stand. I care about you, Brianna. I always did, even when I was too stupid to show it properly. If there's any chance for us, I want to try. But if there's not, if you just want to co-parent and keep things separate, I'll respect that too. Brianna looked at this man who had broken her heart and then come back to mend it. Who had missed 5 years but was determined not to miss another day. Who looked at their daughter like she was the most precious thing in the world. I need more time, she said. But I'm not saying no. I'm just saying, let's take things slow. Focus on being good parents first. The rest we can figure out. Slow works for me. Julian smiled. I've got nothing but time now. Over the next few weeks, life settled into a new rhythm. Amara continued healing, growing stronger every day. Julian finished moving into his house and invited them over for dinner. The house was beautiful, warm and welcoming with a backyard that Amara immediately claimed for future puppy adventures. 6 weeks after surgery, Amara returned to daycare. Her first day back, she was nervous but excited. "What if I can't keep up?" she worried. "You will," Brianna assured her. "Your heart is all fixed now. You're going to be able to do everything." And she could. The daycare called that afternoon to report that Amara had played for hours without getting tired. She'd run, jumped, and laughed like the other kids. No blue lips, no breathlessness, no exhaustion. When Brianna picked her up, Amara was glowing. "Mama, I ran so fast. I played tag and I wasn't even tired. I'm so proud of you, baby. Can I tell Dad?" Of course. They called Julian together, and Amara talked for 20 minutes straight about her day. Julian listened to every word, asking questions and celebrating each small victory. After Amara went to bed, Julian stayed for tea, another part of their routine. "She's doing amazing," he said. "She really is. It's like watching her become a whole new kid. The kid she was always meant to be." They smiled at each other, the shared joy of seeing their daughter thrive creating a bond that grew stronger every day. "Brianna," Julian said carefully, "I wanted to ask you something." "Okay. My family is in Miami. My mom, my sisters, my nieces and nephews. They don't know about Amara yet. I wanted to tell them, but I wanted to make sure it was okay with you first." "Of course it's okay. They're her family too. Would you come with us? To Miami? For Thanksgiving maybe? It's only a few weeks away. I'd like them to meet both of you." Brianna hesitated. Meeting Julian's family felt significant, like taking a step toward something permanent. "I know it's a lot," Julian continued, "and if you're not ready, that's fine. But I think Amara would love it. She'd have cousins to play with. My mom would adore her. And they all want to meet the girl who stole my heart and the daughter I never knew I had." "The girl who stole your heart?" Julian met her eyes directly. "Yeah. 5 years ago and now. Both times." Brianna's breath caught. "Julian, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just being honest. You don't have to respond. You don't have to feel the same way. I just wanted you to know." He left shortly after, giving her space to think. Brianna sat on the couch long into the night, thinking about Miami, about family, about the possibility of something real with Julian. Part of her was still scared. But another part, growing bigger every day, wanted to take the chance. Brianna said yes to Miami. Not because she was ready to admit her feelings, but because Amara deserved to know her father's family. That's what she told herself anyway. They flew out the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Amara's first time on a plane, and she was thrilled. She pressed her face against the window, watching the clouds with wide eyes. "We're flying, Mama. Like birds. We are, baby." Julian sat across the aisle, working on his laptop but glancing over frequently with a smile. He'd booked them first-class tickets, which Brianna had initially protested until he pointed out that Amara needed comfort during her first flight while still recovering. Pride versus practicality. Practicality was winning more and more these days. Julian's mother, Rosa Torres, met them at the airport. She was a small woman with graying hair and Julian's same warm brown eyes. She took one look at Amara and burst into tears. "Mi nieta," she whispered, pulling the little girl into a gentle hug. "My granddaughter. You're so beautiful." Amara looked uncertain but hugged back. "Are you my grandma?" "I am. Your abuela. Do you know what that means?" "Grandma in Spanish?" "Very smart." Rosa pulled back to look at her properly. "You have your father's eyes. And his smile." Then Rosa turned to Brianna. Instead of the judgment Brianna half expected, she got another hug. "Thank you," Rosa said. "For raising her alone all these years. For calling my son when she needed help. For giving him a second chance." Brianna felt tears threatening. "I didn't know how to find him. I tried." "I know. Julian told me everything. About how he left, how he changed everything, how he made it impossible to reach him." Rosa pulled back, her eyes fierce. "I raised him better than that. I'm ashamed of what he did. But I'm grateful for who he's trying to become now." Julian's house in Miami was in a quiet neighborhood with palm trees and bright flowers. The home was smaller than his Philadelphia house but comfortable. He'd prepared the guest room for Brianna and Amara, filling it with fresh flowers and new toys for Amara to discover. "This is nice," Brianna admitted, looking around. "I bought it 2 years ago as a vacation place. Somewhere to visit my mom without staying with her." Julian smiled. "She means well, but she mothers me like I'm still 12. You'll always be her baby." Unfortunately. That evening Julian's sisters came over for dinner. Isabella and Carmen, both younger than Julian, both loud and loving and immediately enchanted by Amara. She's precious, Isabella said, watching Amara play with her 4-year-old son Miguel. She's exactly like Julian at that age, Carmen added. Same serious face when she's thinking. Dinner was chaotic in the best way. Food passed around, conversations overlapping in English and Spanish, laughter filling the spaces in between. Amara sat between her father and her grandmother, soaking up attention like she'd been starved for it. Maybe she had been, Brianna thought. All those years just the two of them. No big family dinners, no cousins to play with, no extended family to call on. Brianna had tried her best, but watching Amara bloom in this noisy, loving environment made her realize what they'd been missing. After dinner, while the kids played and the adults cleaned up, Rosa pulled Brianna aside. Can we talk? Just for a minute? They went out to the back patio, sitting in wicker chairs under string lights. I want to thank you again, Rosa started. And I want to apologize for my son. You don't need to apologize for him. I do. I raised him and somewhere along the way he forgot the important things. Family. Loyalty. Love. She looked out at the yard where Julian was pushing Amara on a swing. His father left us when Julian was young. It damaged something in him. Made him afraid to depend on anyone or let anyone depend on him. He told me about that. Did he tell you how hard it was? How we lost our apartment and lived in my sister's garage for 6 months. How he watched me work myself sick trying to provide for him. Brianna shook her head. He swore he'd never be poor again. Never be powerless again. When his company started taking off, I think he panicked. Thought anything that took his focus away would destroy his chances. So he cut everything loose. Rosa's voice was sad. I didn't raise him to run away, but I did raise him to survive. And sometimes those instincts get confused. Why are you telling me this? Because I see how you look at him. Like you're trying to decide if he's worth trusting. And I want you to know that he is. Not because he's perfect. He's not. But because he's learned. He knows what matters now. Brianna watched Julian push Amara on the swing, both of them laughing. I want to trust him. I do. But I'm scared. Good. Fear means you care enough to get hurt. That's when it matters. Rosa took her hand. My son loves you. He loved you 5 years ago and he loves you now. Give him a chance to prove he's not the boy who ran away. He's a man now. A father. Someone who finally knows what's important. That night, after Amara fell asleep in the guest room, Brianna found Julian on the patio. Your family is wonderful, she said, sitting beside him. They love Amara. They love you too. Your mom was telling me stories about when you were little. Julian groaned. I'm sorry. Whatever embarrassing thing she told you, I can explain. Brianna laughed. She just helped me understand you better. Why you left. Why you're so determined to stay now. And I'm starting to see that people are complicated. That mistakes don't define us if we're willing to learn from them. Julian looked at her hopefully. Does that mean you're ready to trust me? I'm ready to try. He reached for her hand and this time Brianna didn't pull away. They sat together under the stars, holding hands like they used to 5 years ago, before everything fell apart and came back together. Thanksgiving Day was pure chaos. Rosa's house filled with extended family, at least 20 people packed into every room. Amara had cousins swarming around her, older kids teaching her games, younger kids following her around. She was in heaven. Brianna helped in the kitchen, learning family recipes from Rosa and the aunts. The older women adopted her immediately, pulling her into their circle with warmth and acceptance. Nobody judged her for being a single mother. Nobody made her feel like an outsider. She was Julian's girl, Amara's mother, and that was enough. So when's the wedding? One aunt asked with a sly smile. We're not together, Brianna said quickly. We're just co-parenting. Sure you are. The aunt winked. Just like I'm not eating this pie later. At dinner, they all crammed around an extended table, passing dishes and talking over each other. Rosa said grace in Spanish, thanking God for family, for health, for bringing Julian's daughter home. Julian stood up when she finished. I want to say something too. The room quieted. 5 years ago I made a terrible choice. I left Philadelphia chasing success, and I left behind the best thing that ever happened to me. Brianna and I had something real and I threw it away because I was scared and stupid. He looked at Brianna. Then she called me 3 months ago to tell me I had a daughter. A beautiful, smart, amazing daughter who was sick and needed help. She could have kept Amara from me. She could have hated me and shut me out. But she didn't. She gave me a chance to be a father. To be part of Amara's life. to be part of both their lives. Brianna felt everyone's eyes on her. I'm grateful, Julian continued. For Amara, for Brianna's courage in calling me, for my family welcoming them. This is the best Thanksgiving I've ever had. Because I finally know what matters. Not money or success or building an empire. Family matters. Love matters. Being there matters. He sat down to applause and cheering. Amara climbed onto his lap, hugging him. Good speech, Dad. Thanks, kiddo. After dinner, kids ran around the backyard while adults sat on the patio digesting. Julian found Brianna watching Amara play with her cousins. She's happy, Brianna observed. She is. Are you? Yeah, I am. She looked at him. Thank you for bringing us here. For sharing your family. They're your family too. If you want them to be. I do. They stood close together watching their daughter play. Julian's arm went around Brianna's shoulders naturally, and she leaned into him, finally letting herself relax into the possibility of something real. The rest of the weekend passed in a blur of family activities. Beach trips where Amara collected shells. Dinners at Rosa's house. Movie nights with cousins. Quiet moments on the patio after Amara went to sleep. On their last night, Julian took Brianna and Amara to dinner at a restaurant on the water. They sat outside watching boats drift by as the sun set. I have something for both of you, Julian said after they ordered. He handed Brianna an envelope. Inside was a set of keys and paperwork. What is this? The deed to the Philadelphia apartment. It's yours. I bought it. No rent, no landlord, just a home for you and Amara. Julian, I can't accept this. Yes, you can. Amara needs stability. A real home where she can grow up without worrying about leases or rent increases. This gives you that. It's too much. It's not nearly enough. He looked at her seriously. I have more money than I know what to do with. Let me use it for something that matters. For the people who matter most. Brianna looked at the deed, at the address of the apartment where they'd been living. Where Amara had recovered from surgery. Where they'd started becoming a family. Okay, she said quietly. Thank you. Then Julian pulled out a small box and handed it to Amara. And this is for you, princess. Amara opened it to find a delicate gold bracelet with a small heart charm. It's beautiful. The heart represents your strong, brave heart. The heart that got fixed and now works perfectly. I want you to wear it and remember how strong you are. Amara held out her arm and Julian fastened the bracelet. She admired it with delight. Thank you, Dad. I love it. I love you too, kiddo. After Amara went to bed that night, Julian walked Brianna to her room. This weekend was perfect, Brianna said. It was. Your family is wonderful. Our family. Julian corrected. If you want it to be. Brianna looked at him, at this man who had left and come back, who had grown and changed, who loved their daughter with his whole heart. She thought about Rosa's words. About taking chances. About fear meaning you cared enough to get hurt. Julian, I need to tell you something. Okay. I'm still scared. Still worried you'll leave or realize this is too complicated. But I'm also starting to remember why I fell for you the first time. And I think I might be falling again. Julian's eyes went wide. Really? Really? I'm not ready to rush into anything. But I'm ready to stop pushing you away. To see where this goes. If you still want to. If I still want to? Julian laughed. Brianna, I've wanted this since the moment I saw you again at the hospital. I've been patient because I know I don't deserve an easy second chance. But yeah, I want this. I want you. I want us to be a real family. Slow, Brianna reminded him. We take this slow. As slow as you need. He leaned in and Brianna met him halfway. Their first kiss in 5 years was gentle, careful, full of promise and possibility. When they pulled apart, Julian was smiling. Worth the wait. Yeah, Brianna agreed. It really was. They flew back to Philadelphia the next day, tired but happy. Amara fell asleep on the plane, exhausted from the weekend. Julian and Brianna sat beside each other, fingers intertwined, already planning their next visit to Miami. Your mom wants us to come for Christmas, Julian said. That's only a month away. Too soon. No, Brianna decided. Not too soon at all. They were building something new. A family that didn't fit traditional molds but worked for them. A father who had returned. A mother who had learned to trust again. A daughter who brought them all together. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that was enough. December brought snow to Philadelphia and a new routine for their little family. Julian officially moved his primary operations to the city, setting up a home office in his house. Amara was now 3 months post-surgery and completely cleared for normal activities. "So about that puppy," Julian said one Saturday morning. Amara, who had been coloring at the kitchen table, looked up so fast she nearly knocked over her juice. "Really? We can really get one?" Brianna looked between them. "You two have been plotting." "Not plotting," Julian said innocently. "Discussing. Responsibly." "Aha." But Brianna was smiling. "What kind of puppy?" "Something small," Julian said. "Good with kids. I was thinking a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. They're gentle, don't need excessive exercise, and they're great family dogs." "You researched this?" "Extensively. I made a spreadsheet." "Of course he did." Brianna laughed. "Okay, let's go look." They spent the afternoon at animal shelters, Amara carefully meeting each dog, looking for the right fit. At the third shelter they found her. A 6-month-old Cavalier mix with floppy ears and gentle brown eyes. She licked Amara's hand and settled into her lap immediately. "This one," Amara declared. "Her name is Daisy." "Are you sure?" Brianna asked. "We can keep looking." "I'm sure. Daisy chose me." So they adopted Daisy along with all the supplies a puppy needed. Julian handled the adoption fees and paperwork while Brianna and Amara picked out toys and a bed. At home, Daisy explored every corner of the apartment while Amara followed her around, delighted. The puppy was gentle and calm, perfect for a little girl still building her stamina after surgery. "Thank you," Brianna told Julian quietly while Amara played with Daisy in the living room. "For what?" "For this. For making her dreams come true. She's wanted a dog for so long. She deserves good things. You both do." They were standing close, and Julian took the opportunity to pull Brianna into a gentle hug. She relaxed into him, marveling at how natural it felt now. They'd been taking things slow like she'd asked. Dinners together, family outings, stolen kisses when Amara wasn't looking. Getting to know each other again as the people they'd become rather than who they'd been. Brianna had gone back to work part-time, taking Julian up on his offer of a position at his company's Philadelphia office. The job was flexible, paid well, and let her spend plenty of time with Amara. Pride had made her hesitate, but practicality won out. Why struggle when she didn't have to? Julian made it clear it wasn't charity. "You're qualified. You're organized, smart, and great with people. The project coordinator position is perfect for you." It was. Brianna found she loved the work, coordinating between teams, managing schedules, keeping projects on track. Her co-workers were friendly, and nobody treated her differently because of her relationship with Julian. Though everyone knew. How could they not? Julian looked at her like she was precious. Like she was everything. "Are you happy?" her mother asked during one of their weekly lunches. "I am," Brianna admitted. "Is that weird? After everything?" "It's not weird. It's healing. You're letting yourself have good things. I spent so long just surviving. Working myself to the bone, barely getting by. Now Julian wants to give us everything, and part of me still wants to say no. But you're saying yes more." "I am. Because he's not just throwing money at us. He's present. He shows up. He does the hard work of being a parent and partner. He's proven himself." "Yeah, he has." Christmas approached quickly. They flew to Miami again, Daisy staying with Brianna's mother who had grown attached to the little dog. Rosa's house was decorated with lights and a massive tree, presents already piling underneath. Amara was beside herself with excitement. Cousins, family, presents, and her father's arm around her shoulders while they sang carols in Spanish and English. On Christmas morning, after the chaos of presents and breakfast, Julian pulled Brianna aside. "I have something for you. Just you." He handed her a small wrapped box. Brianna's heart started racing. "That size, that shape." "Julian. Open it. It's not what you think. I mean, it might be eventually, but not today. Not yet." She opened it to find a beautiful pendant necklace. A golden heart with 2 small birthstones. One for Amara, one for Julian. "It's our family," Julian explained. "You in the center holding us together. The heart you've given us." Brianna felt tears sliding down her face. "It's beautiful. There's room for more stones," Julian added quietly. "If we want. Someday. No pressure. More children." The possibility hung in the air between them, fragile and hopeful. "Someday," Brianna agreed. "Maybe." Julian fastened the necklace around her neck, his fingers gentle. Then he kissed her softly, both of them aware of family nearby but not caring. "I love you," he whispered. "I should have said it 5 years ago. I should have fought for you. But I'm saying it now. I love you, Brianna. Brianna's breath caught. They'd been dancing around those words for weeks. I love you too. I think I never stopped. They held each other while Christmas continued around them, their own moment of peace in the happy chaos. That afternoon, while Amara napped with her cousins and the family gathered in the living room, Rosa pulled out photo albums. I want to show Brianna something, she announced. The albums held pictures of Julian growing up. A serious little boy who rarely smiled. A teenager working after-school jobs. A young man hunched over a computer chasing dreams. He was always so driven, Rosa explained. Always trying to prove something. To himself, to me, to the world. I worried he'd forget to live while he was busy succeeding. But he didn't, Brianna said, looking at recent photos. Julian and Amara building snowmen. Julian and Brianna at the park. The three of them at Thanksgiving. His smile was real now, reaching his eyes. No. You and Amara taught him what matters. Gave him something worth coming home to. If you're invested in this beautiful journey of second chances and healing, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss how this family's story ends. What do you think Julian should do next? Tell us in the comments. New Year's Eve, they were back in Philadelphia. Julian's house this time, hosting a small party. Brianna's mother, a few friends from work, and Amara running around with Daisy. At midnight, while others cheered and clinked glasses, Julian kissed Brianna on his front porch under the stars. New year, new beginning, he said. Fresh start. With you and Amara, every day feels like a fresh start. Brianna laughed. That's really cheesy. But true. They kissed again, the promise of the new year spread out before them like an unwritten page. January brought routine. Work, daycare, family dinners. The ordinary magic of daily life. Brianna moved between her apartment and Julian's house easily, spending more nights at his place than her own. Amara had rooms in both places, belongings scattered between them. This is silly, Julian said one evening. All this going back and forth. What are you suggesting? Move in with me. Officially. You and Amara. We're already together most of the time anyway. Why pretend otherwise? Brianna wanted to say yes immediately. But caution held her back. That's a big step. I know. And I'm not trying to rush you. But I'm also not interested in playing house when we could actually build one. Together. What if it doesn't work? Then we figure it out. But we won't know unless we try. Brianna thought about it for days. She talked to her mother, to friends, to herself in the mirror at 3 a.m. when she couldn't sleep. Finally, she called Julian. Okay. We'll move in. But I'm keeping the apartment. Just in case. Just until I'm sure. Fair enough. When? End of the month? Perfect. Moving day was organized chaos. Julian had hired movers, but there wasn't much to move. Brianna had never accumulated much. 5 years of paycheck to paycheck living meant few possessions. But Julian's house welcomed them. Amara's room was ready, painted the soft purple she'd requested. Brianna's belongings fit into Julian's room easily, mixing with his like they'd always been meant to share space. That first night, after Amara was tucked in bed, Brianna and Julian stood in their room. Their room. Not his, not hers. Theirs. This is real, Brianna said. Very real. Having second thoughts. No. Just adjusting. 6 months ago, I thought I'd never see you again. Now we're living together, raising our daughter together, building a life together. Life moves fast when you stop running from it. They crawled into bed together, Daisy curling up at their feet. Outside, the city carried on. Inside, a family slept peacefully, 3 hearts and 1 small dog, finally complete. February brought Valentine's Day and Julian's ridiculously romantic gesture of filling the house with roses. This is excessive, Brianna laughed, looking at flowers in every room. I have 5 years of Valentine's Days to make up for. You're impossible. You love me anyway. I really do. They'd fallen into a rhythm. Julian cooked breakfast while Brianna packed Amara's lunch. They both dropped her at daycare, both picked her up. Evenings were dinner, homework help, bath time, stories. The ordinary tasks of family life that felt extraordinary because they were doing it together. I'm happy, Brianna told her mother during lunch. Really genuinely happy. Is that okay? Why wouldn't it be? Because it feels too good. Like something's going to go wrong. Baby, you've been waiting for the other shoe to drop your whole life. Maybe it's time to accept that some people get happy endings. Do they? You're getting yours. Stop questioning it. But Brianna couldn't quite shake the feeling. Life had taught her that good things didn't last. That people left. That happiness was temporary. She kept the apartment, Paying rent Julian offered to cover, but she refused. It was her safety net. Her backup plan. Just in case. Julian noticed but didn't push. He understood. Trust took time, and he'd broken hers badly 5 years ago. I'll wait as long as you need, he told her. Even if you need to keep that apartment for 10 years, I'll understand. But as March arrived and then April, Brianna found herself at Julian's house more and more. The apartment sat empty except for occasional visits to water the plants she'd left there. I think I'm ready, she told Julian one evening. Ready for what? To give up the apartment. To trust that this is real. That you're not going anywhere. Julian pulled her close. I'm not going anywhere. Ever. You're stuck with me. Good. Because I'm keeping you. They renewed the apartment lease to her mother, who had been wanting to downsize anyway. Brianna signed over the deed Julian had given her, making the space her mother's. You're sure? Her mother asked. I'm sure. I don't need a backup plan anymore. I trust him. I trust us. And she did. Finally, completely, without reservation. May brought Amara's 5th birthday and plans for a party in the backyard. Julian went overboard, hiring a petting zoo and a magician. Brianna tried to rein him in, but he was too excited. She's only 5 once, he argued. She's only every age once. Are you going to do this every year? Probably. Brianna laughed. You're ridiculous. You love it. She did. The party was a huge success. Amara wore a bright green dress and a crown, declaring herself the birthday princess. Kids from daycare ran around the yard, petting rabbits and goats, shrieking with laughter at the magician's tricks. Julian and Brianna stood together, watching their daughter blow out candles on her cake. Make a wish, baby, Brianna said. Amara squeezed her eyes shut, thinking hard. Then she blew out all 5 candles in one breath. What did you wish for? Julian asked. Can't tell. It won't come true. Later, after guests left and Amara was in bed exhausted and happy, she whispered to Brianna. Mama, can I tell you my wish? I thought it wouldn't come true if you told. I think it already came true. I wish that we could stay like this forever. You and me and Dad and Daisy. Our family. Brianna felt tears welling up. That's a beautiful wish, baby. Is it going to come true? Yeah, I think it is. After Amara fell asleep, Brianna found Julian in the kitchen cleaning up party debris. She wished for us to stay together forever, Brianna told him. Julian stopped what he was doing. Really? Really? She's happy. We made her happy. We did. Julian pulled her close. I have something I want to talk to you about. Okay. My company is doing incredibly well. Better than I ever imagined. I've been thinking about what comes next. What I want to do with the success, with the money, with my time. And I want to start a foundation. For families like yours was. Single parents struggling to afford medical care for their kids. I want to cover surgeries, treatments, whatever they need. I want to make sure no other mother has to sit in a hospital room terrified because she can't afford to save her child. Brianna stared at him. Julian. That's amazing. I want to name it after Amara. The Amara Torres Foundation. If you're okay with that. If I'm okay with it? That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. They talked late into the night about the foundation. How it would work, who it would help, how they could make a real difference. Julian's passion for the project was obvious. He'd found something meaningful to do with his success. You're going to change lives? Brianna said. We're going to change lives. I want you involved. You understand what these families are going through. You've lived it. I'd love that. By June, the foundation was taking shape. Julian hired a team, Brianna worked part-time on outreach, and they approved their first family for assistance. A mother with a 3-year-old needing heart surgery. The parallels to their own story were obvious. This is why it all happened, Brianna said, watching the news of the approved surgery. All the struggle, all the fear. So we could help others. Maybe. Or maybe we just survived something hard and came out stronger. Both. It can be both. Amara started kindergarten in the fall. Her first day, she wore a red backpack almost as big as she was and a huge smile. I'm a big kid now, she announced. You are, Julian agreed, kneeling to her level. Are you nervous? A little. But mostly excited. They walked her to her classroom together, both parents holding her hands. Other kids ran past, parents calling out last-minute instructions. It was chaos and beautiful and ordinary. Have a great day, baby, Brianna said, hugging her. Love you, princess, Julian added. Love you too. Both of you. They watched her go, joining other kids at the reading carpet. She didn't look back, too busy starting her new adventure. She's growing up, Brianna said. Too fast. They walked back to the car hand in hand. Remember when we were terrified she wouldn't make it to kindergarten? Brianna said. Every day. That's why moments like this mean everything. Life settled into a new normal. Amara thrived in school, making friends easily. Daisy grew from a puppy into a calm, loving dog. The foundation helped its second family, then its third. By October, Julian and Brianna had been living together for 9 months. It felt like longer. It felt like they'd always been together. I want to ask you something, Julian said one evening after Amara was asleep. Brianna looked up from her book. Okay. Are you happy? Really happy? Not just content or comfortable but truly happy? Yes. Why? Because I want to make sure before I do this. He pulled out a small box. The same size as the Christmas necklace box, but this time Brianna knew what was inside. Julian. Brianna Hayes, 5 years ago I was an idiot who ran away from the best thing in my life. You could have shut me out when you called about Amara. You could have taken my money and kept me at arm's length. But you didn't. You gave me a second chance I didn't deserve. You let me be a father. You let me fall in love with you all over again. You've made me happier than I ever thought possible. He opened the box, revealing a simple diamond ring. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life making up for the time I lost and building new memories together? Brianna was crying. Yes. Yes, of course yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, and they kissed like they'd been waiting forever for this moment. Maybe they had been. Should we tell Amara? Brianna asked. In the morning. Tonight is just ours. They stayed up late, planning a future they'd once thought impossible. A wedding, maybe more children growing old together. All the ordinary dreams that felt extraordinary because they'd almost lost them. In the morning they told Amara over breakfast. We're getting married, Julian said. Which means Brianna will officially be my wife, and we'll all have the same last name. Amara looked between them. So you'll be Mama and Dad and we'll be a real family? We're already a real family, Brianna said. But yes, it will be official. Can I be a flower girl? Absolutely. Amara cheered, then went back to her cereal like it was the most normal thing in the world. Which maybe it was. To her they'd always been a family. They set the wedding for December. Nothing too big, just close family and friends. Rosa cried when they told her, pulling both of them into a tight hug. Finally, she said. My son finally did something right. Thanks, Mom. You know what I mean. They planned the wedding together, keeping it simple. A ceremony at Julian's house, a reception in the backyard. Personal, intimate, perfect. Brianna's mother helped with dresses, finding a simple white gown for Brianna and a beautiful purple dress for Amara. You look like a princess, baby, Brianna told her daughter during a fitting. I look like a flower girl princess. The best kind. As the wedding approached, Brianna felt surprisingly calm. No cold feet, no doubts. Just certainty that this was right. Are you scared? Her mother asked the night before the wedding. No. I'm excited. I'm marrying my best friend. That's how it should be. The wedding day was clear and cold, December sunshine streaming through the windows. Brianna got ready with her mother and Amara, all three of them laughing and crying. Mama, you're so pretty, Amara said. So are you, baby. They walked downstairs together. The house was decorated simply with white flowers and candles. About 40 people waited in the living room, which had been rearranged for the ceremony. Julian stood at the front with the officiant, wearing a navy suit. When he saw Brianna, his expression transformed into pure love. Amara walked down first, scattering flower petals with serious concentration. Then Brianna, escorted by her mother, joined Julian at the front. Hi, he whispered. Hi. The ceremony was short and sweet. Traditional vows with personal additions. When the officiant said, You may kiss the bride, Julian did so gently, both of them smiling. Amara cheered. They did it. The reception was relaxed, food and music and dancing. Amara stayed up past her bedtime, twirling in her dress until she finally crashed on the couch. Our daughter, Julian said, looking at her sleep. Our daughter, Brianna agreed. Mrs. Torres. You kept your name. I know. But we're still a family. We are. Always will be. They danced together, surrounded by everyone they loved. It wasn't the ending Brianna had imagined 5 years ago when Julian left. It was better. Because they'd both grown, both changed, both learned what truly mattered. Thank you, Brianna said. For what? For coming back. For not giving up. For being the man Amara needs and the partner I needed. Thank you for letting me. They kissed again, husband and wife, parents, partners. The family they'd built from broken pieces and second chances. Married life looked a lot like their life before the wedding, just with rings and a new last name for Brianna. She decided to become Brianna Torres, wanting Amara to grow up with parents who shared her name. The Torres family, Julian would say, still sounding amazed months later. Winter turned to spring. The foundation grew, helping its 10th family, then its 20th. Brianna worked more hours on outreach, finding families who needed help, connecting them with resources. "You're good at this," Julian observed, watching her on a call with a struggling mother. "I understand what they're going through." That helps. They'd settled into a comfortable rhythm. Work, parenting, foundation activities, date nights when Brianna's mother babysat. Life was full but not overwhelming. Happy but not complacent. In April, Brianna started feeling tired. More tired than usual. She brushed it off at first, blaming long days at the foundation. "Maybe you should see a doctor," Julian suggested. "I'm fine. Just busy." But the tiredness persisted. Then came the nausea. One morning she barely made it to the bathroom before getting sick. Julian found her there, pale and shaking. "That's it, doctor. Today. It's probably just a bug." Brianna. She went to urgent care, mostly to appease him. The doctor asked routine questions, ran some tests, and then smiled knowingly. "Mrs. Torres, you're pregnant. About 8 weeks along." Brianna stared. "I'm what?" "Pregnant. Congratulations." She called Julian from the parking lot, still in shock. "Can you come home?" she asked. "What's wrong? What did the doctor say?" "Just come home. We need to talk." He was there in 20 minutes, concern all over his face. "Tell me what's going on." "I'm pregnant." Julian froze. "You're pregnant?" "About 8 weeks. I had no idea. I've been on birth control, but apparently it's not perfect." "We're having a baby?" "We're having a baby." Julian's face went through several expressions: shock, joy, awe, before settling on pure happiness. He pulled her into a careful hug. "We're having a baby. Are you happy?" Brianna asked. "We didn't plan this." "I'm thrilled. Are you happy?" "I think so. I'm surprised. We just got settled with Amara. We'll figure it out. We always do." They told Amara that evening over dinner. "How do you feel about being a big sister?" Julian asked. Amara's eyes went wide. "I'm getting a brother or sister?" "Yes. In about 7 months. Can I pick the name?" "We'll see." Amara was delighted. She spent the rest of the evening planning everything the baby would need, drawing pictures of the nursery, making lists of toys to share. "She's excited," Brianna observed. "She's going to be an amazing big sister." The pregnancy was easier than Brianna's first. She wasn't alone this time, wasn't terrified and struggling. Julian came to every appointment, asked a million questions, and read pregnancy books cover to cover. "You're really into this," Brianna laughed, watching him take notes during a prenatal class. "Last time I missed everything. I'm not missing anything now." They found out at 20 weeks that they were having a boy. Amara squealed when they told her. "A brother. I'm getting a brother." They prepared the 3rd bedroom as a nursery, painting it a soft yellow. Amara helped, wearing her painting clothes seriously while making small handprints on one wall as decoration. "So he knows his big sister loves him," she explained. Julian watched his daughter with tears in his eyes. "You're going to be the best big sister." "I know. I've been practicing with Daisy." Summer came, bringing heat and Brianna's growing belly. She worked from home more, too tired for long days at the office. Julian adjusted his schedule to help more, working around her needs seamlessly. "You're really good at this," she told him one evening. "At what?" "Being a partner. Being there. I couldn't have done this alone again." "You'll never have to be alone again. I promise." In August, with the baby due in November, Julian had a surprise. "I want to take you somewhere. Just the 2 of us. Before the baby comes." "Where?" "New York. A weekend away. My mom will watch Amara. We need some time together before things get crazy again." Brianna agreed. They spent a long weekend in New York, seeing shows, eating at good restaurants, walking through the city hand in hand. It felt like a second honeymoon, stolen moments before their family grew again. "Thank you for this," Brianna said on their last night, standing on their hotel balcony overlooking the city. "Thank you for giving me a second chance. For trusting me. For building this life with me. I love you. I love you too. So much." Back in Philadelphia, they finished preparing for the baby. Names were debated. Daniel, after Brianna's father. Julian loved it. "Daniel Torres," he said, trying it out. "Danny. It's perfect." October brought cooler weather and the final weeks of pregnancy. Brianna was huge, uncomfortable, and ready to meet her son. "He's taking his time," she complained. "He'll come when he's ready." Daniel Torres made his appearance 2 days before his due date, arriving quickly once labor started. Julian was there for everything this time, holding Brianna's hand, coaching her through contractions, cutting the umbilical cord. When they placed their son on Brianna's chest, Julian was crying. "He's perfect," he kept saying. "You're both perfect." Daniel was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a healthy cry, and his father's dark hair. Amara met her brother the next day, gentle and careful, instantly in love. "Hi, Danny," she whispered. "I'm your big sister. I'm going to teach you everything." They brought Daniel home to a house full of love. Amara helped with everything, fetching diapers, singing lullabies, making sure everyone knew when the baby needed something. Julian was a different father this time. Not uncertain or learning as he went, but confident, comfortable, involved. He changed diapers without being asked, walked the floor with a crying baby at 2 in the morning, gave Brianna breaks to rest and recover. "You're really good at this," Brianna told him one night, watching him rock Daniel to sleep. "I'm making up for lost time with Amara. And I'm not missing a moment this time." Their family of 3 had become 4. The house was louder, messier, fuller. Brianna had never been happier. One evening in December, with Daniel 6 weeks old and Amara playing quietly nearby, Brianna sat with Julian in the living room. "Do you remember a year ago?" she asked. "Our wedding? Best day of my life." "Mine too. Well, tied with the days our kids were born." Julian laughed. "Fair enough. I've been thinking about everything. About how 5 years ago I thought my life was over when you left. I was pregnant, alone, terrified. I convinced myself I'd never be happy again. And now I realize that sometimes the worst things that happen lead to the best outcomes. If you hadn't left, you wouldn't have built your company. If you hadn't built the company, you wouldn't have had the resources to help Amara. If Amara hadn't gotten sick, I wouldn't have called you. If I hadn't called, we wouldn't be here. So you're saying my biggest mistake led to our greatest blessing?" "I'm saying that life works in mysterious ways. And I'm grateful. For all of it. Even the hard parts. Because they led us here." Julian pulled her close, careful not to disturb the sleeping baby in her arms. "Me too. Every single day I'm grateful. For you, for Amara, for Daniel, for this family we've built." Amara looked up from her coloring book. "Are you guys being mushy again?" They laughed. "Maybe a little," Brianna admitted. "That's okay. Families are supposed to be mushy." "Where did you learn that?" "School. My teacher says families that love each other show it." "Your teacher is smart." "I know." Later that night, after both kids were asleep, Julian and Brianna stood in the nursery, watching Daniel sleep in his crib. "I can't believe this is our life," Julian said. "I know. It feels like a dream sometimes." "A good dream. The best dream." They stood together in the soft glow of the nightlight, 2 people who had found each other, lost each other, and found their way back. It hadn't been easy. It hadn't been simple. But it had been worth it. Every single moment had been worth it. Christmas came with 2 children instead of 1. Amara, now 6 years old and full of big sister confidence, helped Santa wrap presents for baby Daniel. Julian took approximately 1,000 photos, documenting every moment. "You're going to fill up your phone?" Brianna teased. "I'm making up for the photos I don't have of Amara's first 5 years." They spent the holiday in Philadelphia this time, Rosa and Julian's sisters flying up to meet Daniel. The house was packed with family, loud with laughter and love. "He's beautiful," Rosa said, holding her newest grandson. "Both your children are beautiful." "They are," Julian agreed, watching Amara show her cousins her toys. "I'm the luckiest man alive." That evening, after family went back to their hotels and the kids were asleep, Brianna found a moment alone with her mother. "You look happy, baby." "I'm happy. Really, truly happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. To not have to struggle. To have a partner who shows up. To have a family that loves you. I have all of that now." Brianna looked at her mother seriously. "Thank you for everything. For raising me alone after Dad left. For helping me with Amara. For never making me feel like I'd failed. You never failed. You survived. You thrived. You built a beautiful life. We both did." New Year's Eve, they had a quiet celebration at home. Just the 4 of them and Daisy, who had accepted baby Daniel as part of the pack. They watched the countdown on TV, Amara making it to midnight through sheer determination. "Happy New Year," Julian said, kissing Brianna at midnight. Happy New Year, she replied. What do you want this year to bring? He asked. More of this. More family, more love, more ordinary moments that feel extraordinary. I can make that happen. You already have. Winter turned to spring. Daniel grew from a newborn into a baby who smiled and cooed and recognized his family. Amara adored him, constantly wanting to help, to hold him, to be near him. She's such a good big sister, Julian observed. She is. She's going to teach him everything. Just like she said she would. The foundation continued growing. They helped their 50th family in March, a milestone they celebrated by expanding the program to cover more conditions beyond cardiac care. We're making a real difference, Brianna said, reviewing applications. You're making a real difference. This was always your dream, helping people. Now you get to do it every day. Our dream. We're doing this together. By May, Daniel was 6 months old and thriving. The family took photos to celebrate, professional ones in the park with everyone in coordinating blue outfits. Amara insisted Daisy be included. She's family too, Amara explained to the photographer. The photos turned out beautiful. Julian had them printed and framed, hanging them throughout the house. Evidence of the family they'd built, the love they'd found. In June, Julian had an announcement at dinner. I've been thinking about something. The company is doing incredibly well. My team in California has everything under control. And I'm spending most of my time on the foundation anyway. Okay, Brianna said. Where is this going? I want to step back from the company. Not leave entirely but take a less active role. Let someone else run day-to-day operations while I focus on the foundation and being present for our family. Are you sure? The company is your baby. The company was my first baby. But I have actual babies now. Actual priorities. And I don't want to miss any more moments. I already missed too much with Amara. Brianna reached across the table for his hand. If you're sure, I support you. I'm sure. I want to be here. Really here. Not just physically present but mentally and emotionally available. I want to coach Amara's soccer games and go to Daniel's future school events. I want to be the dad I always should have been. You are that dad. You've been that dad since the moment you came back. Then I want to keep being him. Fully. Julian made the transition over the summer. He remained chairman of the board but handed CEO responsibilities to his longtime deputy. The company continued thriving under new leadership while Julian focused on family and the foundation. How does it feel? Brianna asked after his first week of the new arrangement. Perfect. I come home at 5 every day. I have dinner with my family. I put my kids to bed. I spend time with my wife. This is what success actually looks like. Amara started first grade in September. She wore her red backpack, now appropriately sized, and walked into school like she owned the place. She's confident, Julian said. She is. Because she knows she's loved. She knows she has a family that supports her. That changes everything. They walked home hand in hand, pushing Daniel in his stroller. Just another ordinary day in their extraordinary life. October brought Amara's 7th birthday. This party was smaller than the massive 5-year-old celebration, just family and a few school friends. But it was perfect. Amara blew out her candles with Daniel on her lap, helping him clap for his sister. What did you wish for? Brianna asked. Can't tell. But it's the same as last year. For us to stay together? Yeah. It came true last year, so I'm wishing it again. Just to make sure. Julian pulled both his children close. That wish is guaranteed, princess. Forever and always. Promise. Promise. In November, Daniel turned 1. He took his first wobbly steps at his birthday party, walking from Julian to Brianna while everyone cheered. Amara clapped louder than anyone. My brother is walking, she announced to the room. Daniel became a toddler, then a little boy. Amara grew from a kindergartner to a confident elementary student. Julian and Brianna celebrated their 2nd wedding anniversary, then their 3rd. The foundation helped its 100th family, a milestone that made Brianna cry. 100 children who get to live because we helped their families, she said. 100 children who get to grow up because you understood what their parents were going through. Life continued. Busy, full, sometimes chaotic, always loving. They took family vacations to Miami, to the beach, to Disney World where Amara and Daniel met their favorite characters. They had quiet evenings at home, movie nights with popcorn, Sunday morning pancakes. When Amara was 8 and Daniel was 2, Brianna found out she was pregnant again. Another surprise, another blessing. Are we doing this? She asked Julian. Are you asking if I want another child with you? Absolutely. 3 kids is a lot. 3 kids is a family. They had a girl this time. Sophia, named after Julian's grandmother. Amara was thrilled to have a sister. Daniel was confused but accepting. The family of 4 became 5. Our hands are full, Brianna said, looking at their 3 children. Our hearts are fuller, Julian replied. Years passed. The kids grew. Amara became a teenager, confident and kind, dreaming of being a doctor so she could help kids like the foundation helped her. Daniel was thoughtful and artistic, always drawing or building something. Sophia was fierce and funny, keeping everyone on their toes. The foundation expanded beyond Philadelphia, helping families across the country. Brianna became the executive director, turning her personal experience into a career helping others. Julian stayed involved in his company but never let work overshadow family. He coached soccer, attended every school event, and made sure his kids knew they were his priority. You did it, Brianna told him one evening, watching their teenagers help Sophia with her homework. You became the father you always wanted to be. We did it. Together. Together, she agreed. On their 10th wedding anniversary they renewed their vows. A simple ceremony in their backyard, surrounded by family and friends. Amara, Daniel, and Sophia stood with them, part of the celebration. 10 years ago, I married my best friend, Julian said in his vows. The mother of my children, the love of my life, the person who gave me a second chance I didn't deserve. Every day since has been a gift. Every moment with you and our kids is a treasure. I promise to keep showing up, to keep loving you, to keep building this beautiful life together. Brianna's vows were simpler. You came back. You stayed. You became the partner and father I always hoped for. You turned our broken story into something beautiful. I love you today as much as I did 10 years ago. More actually. Because now I know what we're capable of building together. They kissed while their children cheered. A family built from second chances, from hope, from love that refused to quit. That evening, after the party ended and the kids were in bed, Julian and Brianna sat on their porch. Do you ever think about how different things could have been? Brianna asked. Sometimes. If you hadn't called me that night. If I hadn't believed you. If we hadn't been willing to try again. We almost didn't make it here. But we did. That's what matters. Brianna leaned against him, looking at the house filled with the life they'd built. I used to think happy endings were just in stories. That real life didn't work that way. What do you think now? I think happy endings are real. They're just not endings. They're beginnings. New chapters. Continuous choices to keep loving, keep trying, keep building something beautiful. So this isn't our happy ending? No. This is our happy middle. Our happy always. Our story that keeps going. Julian kissed the top of her head. I like that better anyway. Inside, their children slept safely. Amara dreaming of medical school, Daniel of art galleries, Sophia of adventures yet to come. 3 kids who existed because their parents had been brave enough to try again. Because love had won over fear. Because second chances, when handled with care, could become the most beautiful stories of all. And in the morning they'd wake up and do it all again. The ordinary magic of family life. The extraordinary blessing of love that lasted. Forever. Together. Exactly as it should be.